make beer, you also need grain. We've got a little scale, but it's quite accurate, so I use it. And some containers to weigh things out. I'm just going to use this as a scoop. And for this particular recipe that I'm following, it's going to be 2.65 kgs of Pilsner and 2.65 kgs of wheat. So basically 50-50. So that makes it pretty simple. I'm just going to scoop some out. Okay, so each scoop's about 640, so we need about 4 from the total. So 4, and now we need a little bit more to top it up. Okay, 2.65. And if you really want to be pedantic, just, like that. To me, they're not the world's best looking grain. They're not massive kernels, but they look alright. They also don't have any, mold on them. I don't see any weevils in them, so, it's not exactly the world's worst grain either. The other thing is the gravity seems to come out right, so that's a good sign. Gravity basically is the amount of sugar that you're getting out of the grain. So that's our wheat, and then this will be for our Pilsner. You need 2.65 liters for this, so again, 4 scoops of this one. Probably, let's see, yeah. Although this is quite dusty, so you may want to use some sort of dust mask or other dust protection. Pretty close. Yeah, you can get quite good at it sometimes. Don't need that for a while. You can see the color difference, the size difference. In fact, you can even work. It doesn't look like that belongs in there. Naughty Polish people. Oh, Finnish people. I don't know where that one came from actually. Better top that up. Just having a look, you can see there's a color difference. First of all, the barley's on the right, and the wheat's on the left. The wheat's a more orangey color, and the barley's a more, I'd say, like tan yellow, khaki yellow kind of. The camera is not doing the best job of rendering color, but the light's not that great. Just thought I'd show you that. You can see the shape's different. They will taste different as well. So it doesn't really matter if we mix them up now because we've already weighed them out and they're going to be ground together and mixed together. Just tasting a wheat kernel, nothing special. Just chewing it and tasting it. Tastes okay, slightly malty. Now I'm going to try the barley. Also very slightly malty, slightly crispier, I'd say. Almost like it's slightly drier, which would kind of makes sense because these are very, very similar containers if they're not identical. This one's slightly above this line, and this one's a fair chunk below the same line. So this is obviously denser because it's the same weight. If you think about it, this is a very lightly kilned malt. It hasn't done at a very high temperature. Yeah, so there's lots of sugary goodness which should be available, and lots of enzymes which should be ready to come out when we put it in the mash tun. Anyway, let's get to milling this, because if you don't buy pre-milled and pre-weighed, which is one of the things you can do, you can go to your homebrew supply store and you can buy this in a kit, and you basically get this probably milled in one bag, and you can probably have it unmilled in one bag, and then you can store it. Whole grain stores well, especially if it's in a nice dry, temperature, stable. You don't want it too hot or too cold, and you definitely don't want it too moist because then you'll get fungus. But I mean, these whole kernels are basically, they're seeds, and they would have lasted a long time in the wild, although they have probably been through some processes to get them malted. It's basically the process of germinating them and then stopping the germination process. I believe that's to release the enzymes and make them available to convert the sugars, which is in the upcoming mashing process. All right, let's get this grinding. We have a little mold set up. Right, I like to label my buckets that I use for grain to only be used for grain. So, the loaders and the buckets also, they say grain on them. And then we've got the little mold, which we can attach to the drill on the side there, that little bit that's sticking out. And we fill up the hopper and we grind the grain. We mill it. Adjustments you can make here. You just loosen those two. The drill, it's actually a rotary hammer drill, but you turn the rotary hammer function off, and then it just turns, and it's got a chuck to it. Open that up a bit more. Okay, good to go. You do not want to use that too fast. Cool, so I've got my COVID compliant dust mask thing on, or whatever, using it as a dust mask, and we'll see if it works. I try and mix the two grains together because the wheat's quite hard to mull. It's the harder kernel. See the dust coming up off there already. Now we sit here and grind. Phew, there we go. The grain has been crushed. Let's have a look at it. It's like a nice circle of, I suppose, flour. So that's what it looks like. This is quite well crushed as far as I'm concerned. And other people say just split the kernel so the water can get in there. I'm like, yeah, okay, dude. I've tried that. It doesn't work so well for me. I don't quite turn it into flour. Wouldn't work so well with my setup, my mash tun.